Justice.
Where you would like to insert those additions?
Well, I think your applicant should go under new business.
All right.
And then Eric's, you can insert wherever they are appropriate under items.
Yeah, probably grant program.
Yeah. I didn't look real closely at the things he had bulleted, but you have them, I think.
And then maybe, yes,
Okay.
I saw that he had sent, yes. He had some suggestions for the grant program.
Yes.
That he wanted to share.
Yep.
And since he is not here, and then maybe under guest speakers, we can talk about questions we might have for April. Is that
correct?
Appropriate? Okay.
Yes.
All right. So those are the updates since the agenda was sent out. All right. So unfinished business. Can we, I guess start with you said new businesses are applicant, is that correct? Or
yes.
Okay. So we will start with the passport program update. Jackie is not here, but I also attended the meeting, so I will go ahead and give a brief update on that. We have, as you know, we've been talking for several months about trying to do something we're calling a passport program in the city to try to encourage locals and hopefully even those outside of the city to patronize our local businesses, get them some advertising, some visibility by doing something in which we've termed passport, like getting the stamp in a passport for doing either visiting the businesses or doing a certain activity. Oh, Cindy Hurst with the chamber, she actually got together a brainstorm session with some of the other folks in the city, some of them business owners and some of them just active volunteers, to give us some ideas and to brainstorm with us. We will do a follow-up meeting, and we had several open items, including, can we figure out a way to have both an app and a paper version of our passport program to meet the needs of everyone? And we did decide that we would like to launch this at the ice cream social in June. So that's one of the key takeaways, is to have a table at the ice cream social to launch this program. Including, there was some discussion about, could we get some of the local businesses to have stands and have tables or some kind of setup at the ice cream social? So everyone was excited about that, but an open item about who is going to volunteer to help get the word out and organize that. So that's the update. We will have some follow-up hopefully this month to be able to share next month.
Cindy's probably unavailable for a couple weeks, but she's probably ready to get back into things after that, so.
Yeah. And she had a great list of volunteers to give us some input. All right, so there's the passport program update, the grant program expansion discussion. Rowan came in with, I believe, 4 different ideas that she presented to us last month. And one of our takeaways was to go do a little research as members and bring back any ideas that you would like to propose, and that we would then share with the URA in terms of what we would recommend in terms of strong grant programs. So that was our homework. I'd like to open it up for anyone who would like to share anything they learned or would like to propose as an idea.
Are you hearing everything okay, Anise?
Yeah, now I can hear. Initially, I couldn't hear anything, so
Okay.
I signed out and come back again.
Okay, we can hear you too, so
Yeah,
feel
thank
free
you.
to go.
All right, anyone come up with any ideas they've seen in other small cities around Oregon that they think would work in North Plains?
Nobody did their homework?
Okay, I will. Eric did send in some comments via email since he's unable to attend. So let me at least share what Eric had. His thoughts were around the fact that since we won't have the anchor program on the Glencoe Opportunity Area for at least several years, is there something, it would be beneficial to incentivize businesses that not only create jobs, but also drive consistent foot traffic within the city. Here are some ideas: small scale manufacturing or production businesses that create stable local jobs, family-oriented amenities or services that draw residents to spend time locally, including things like a barbershop, pharmacy, etc. And workforce serving retail or services that support both the residents and nearby employers. So those are a few ideas. And I think next month I would like to follow up on how do you incentivize those types of businesses to come? Because I think they're great ideas, but how do we do a grant program to bring those kind of businesses to the city, or to bring people to the city?
Smaller cities that have other kinds of grant program. I mean, you've been out about. Sorry, I didn't mean to put you on the spot, but you've done a lot of work with some smaller towns. You haven't had any higher grants in programs.
I mean, yeah, no, it's okay, Lori. I mean, other cities have all kinds of different programs. They tend to focus on, they kind of tend to focus on, beautification stuff, facade improvement and, special grant programs for historical type buildings that have unique issues. And that's part of what Rowan discussed when they were here, I think it just kind of boils down, I think what's missing honestly is just, I'm not gonna ask this body to design a whole new survey and go out and do it. But I think we do have some businesses out there that can be visited with and understand, and follow up to any surveying or anything, but just kind of talk to them about, hey, what's getting in the way of you expanding in terms of your building? And if we have a few that have historical building problems, it's tough to do an expansion or invest in the building because it has a historic roof that's extraordinary to repair, or, if there's historic style brick that has to be bought to repair, to make facade improvement. Well, then, those are legitimate programs that you'll have people use. But yeah, in other places, that's typically what they do is a facade improvement. We didn't start with a facade improvement program. We started with the tenant improvement program because you can have the prettiest facade to your building if the inside isn't functional for the type of business that needs to use the space inside. Like if you don't have or can't get the kitchen facilities built inside, it doesn't matter what the front of the building looks like, that business just can't operate in there. And so that's why facade improvement programs we didn't start with. We wanted to try to help the functionality of the inside of the building for the business. And so that's where we would encourage thought to go, is what makes the operation possible to expand or happen inside the building. Or you can also explore I don't mean to say things like facade improvement programs shouldn't be done. There's value to having a pretty looking downtown. Curb appeal is value, right? But if curb appeal is your priority, you might be missing the functionality is the issue. But Rowan's doing that homework, so I think that's part of it.
Can you say, what do you mean when Rowan's doing that homework?
Well, Rowan came in and identified kind of broad areas of new types of programs that should be considered. I think that this group started to discuss, well, how should we prioritize and recommend the city council or the urban renewal board what should be done? And there was a discussion of how do we even do that? And which is a valuable conversation. But from a staff point of view, I think we're coming upon a point where we need to talk to businesses who have said, hey, do you have a program? Because they'll probably be the ones to use it. I mean, Sisters and Stuff were like, hey, can I get a grant to help with all this cost? And it's like, well, as an agency, we can't just give people money. We kind of have to have objective criteria and process and receipts. And so, the board kind of needs to decide that we need new programs, and then we need to pick them. We'll figure out what they are. But I think that, Rowan's been working with a group of people who are interested in establishing a downtown association. That'll be a concentration of people who will probably be interested in any new programs that come from this. But those businesses, those property owners and businesses will be the target market. So they should have some conversations with them are in order. And I think that's when Rowan can get to it, that'll be the next step.
I just had a thought regarding this prioritizing the businesses that should come under the grant program. So is it something that we can think about, like the kind of businesses that are directly serving the community, like a restaurant, like other kind of utility service, a utility shop, or kind of even a coffee shop, or like where the residents are directly going and receiving the service. So can we prioritize them under the grant program if there are many businesses are interested about it? So can we narrow down, like focus what for, like we say that, okay, we'll give priority to those businesses that are like having direct impact on the community, not like the businesses that uh, have different kind of business that directly doesn't contribute to the community itself, not plain community itself.
Thank you. The answer is yes, that is a policy recommendation that this body can make to council. So yeah, the food service tenant improvement program, that was sort of the idea, whereas we just don't really have much of anything in terms of sit-down dining options. That's a direct service priority. And that's where we started. I think what this body could do is follow up, consistent with your comment and your idea, is what else are we missing that we don't have as services for the community? We've encouraged some new restaurants. We have one restaurant that got a grant and unfortunately closed, but another restaurant is moving in because the URA granted money to help a kitchen be in there. And that created a space, plug and play, for a new restaurant to try it out. And that was part of that's the other part of this grant program situation. The grant program idea is the URA has to give grants for physical improvements. You have to help with building and facilities. You can't provide grants to businesses who aren't making payroll and help their operations deficits. Or help them with a new operations marketing campaign. The URA has to help with physical improvements that get built. And so part of the goal here has also been putting things in place so that if we did lose a business that was in that, we have bought something to be in there that something else can use afterwards.
And I have a question. In terms of the criteria and the requirements for qualification, is there somebody doing that, or you are asking the EDC to come on with like what are the criteria or requirements for a small business to qualify for this program?
Great question, Commissioner. The answer is you get to help with that. So, the example we have is the only program we have, and that's the food service tenant improvement program. And we modeled that off of programs that Beaverton and Hillsborough. So, in Beaverton, I don't know, you've been over there in downtown Beaverton, and they've even gotten press about all the different restaurants they've attracted into their kind of central downtown core. Their program is kind of the model that we borrowed and then adapted to being a small city. But in that, in terms of qualifications and what can be spent, what grant money can be given to is, the program is narrow based on Beaverton and Hillsborough's programs, in that a grant can only be given to help pay for extraordinary costs. In a commercial space where a restaurant might move into, or an insurance company, or whatever type of commercial business, when they look at a space, an insurance company just has to rent the space and then put in, desks and a reception, and relatively speaking, that's pretty low cost. But if a restaurant moves in, they have to put in the kitchen equipment, the rain, the hood, the ventilation, the refrigerators. There's a lot of super expensive built-ins that other types of businesses don't have to put in if they move into that same commercial space. And so the grant program that we have is meant to target extraordinary costs. And so for anything new or different that we do, yes, you all would need to look at that and weigh in. But we would want to hear from you, continue to look at extraordinary costs only qualifying, or what you think. But that's what we went with the first one.
Also, at the moment, you don't have like a draft proposal that outlines like the basic requirements of?
Not yet. That would be part of what we would, you can help us with.
Okay.
I think the way we would do it probably is, I mean, if you all want to look at grant program ideas and then come up with your own thing from scratch, you can. Or, Rowan came in and kind of discussed general types of programs that probably would be worthwhile for North Plains, historic assistance for historic buildings, that want to repair and expand, or, there were a few. And then, it can be explored what types of programs in other places match up with that target need. And then you can kind of review it and say, oh, well, that's way too generous. We don't have as much money as that urban renewal agency. So yeah, on this one as well, we would want to only help extraordinary expenses. Or you might say, no, we got some, we don't want to be that narrow with it. We want to be a little more generous because we're really lacking this type of business. And so at least at first with a new program, we want to be a little more easy or a little more generous because we really need this type of business or service. That's part of the recommendation that you can give.
I had a question. What's the process of determining how much funding is available for the grants? I mean, do we come to you and say, we want 20 grand? And you say, you can have $500.
Well, we have this whole city council business where our budget committee and then city council that has to come up with a budget and adopt it. We have a budget. We have a 2-year budget for property improvement grants. And right now, it's like at least $200,000 for a 2-year period, okay? And it's budgeted that way on purpose because we don't call it the Food Service Tenant Improvement Grant Program has a budget of $200,000 or whatever it is. It's property improvement grants. So there's room to come up with new grant programs and tap into that budget. So labeled to be a little more general so that if something new came up, if something new is determined as a new program, there's budget for it.
And to clarify, that's URA budget dollars?
Urban Renewal Agency, that's
Yeah,
right.
okay.
Mhm. Yep. The general fund has no money for this. It's the
Okay.
URA. Yeah.
That's why I asked, just wanted to be clear.
Yep, great question, great clarification, yes. Anis, I think, has his hand raised.
Oh, yes, that means.
Just a short question. So for this grant, as this is for the property improvement, so if any business that wants to change the kind of business, like they have a property already having existing business, may not be running well, so they want to shift it to other business, can they avail this kind of grant? Like my thought is to for this is that if we can circulate this, that okay, so if anyone comes to a kind of business that they not plain residents are hoping for, like kind of grocery or pharmacy or anything, so existing business that can turn to that, so they can use this grant money. So is it something that is possible?
Yeah, I would say depending on, depending on how this body recommends a program to work, that it could be that. So if an existing business wanted to grow with an emphasis on a new product or service, and that's the kind of product or service that, that the grant program is intended to try to encourage, sure, why not, honestly. I mean, at the end of the day, you're trying to help with difficult costs that are getting in the way of a business doing something new or different, whether it's a new business or a business doing something new or different that's identified as needed. And yeah, the program could be set up that way.
So I have 2 proposals on this item. One is even though this will be our third month, I propose that we add this again to the agenda for next month, since both Jackie and Eric are gone. Because Eric had specific ideas about businesses to attract, but also Jackie last time was really an advocate of let's go talk to businesses and see what they need, as you mentioned, Bill. And so I would like to further have a little bit of discussion on that, about how we do that. And so then my second proposal is, when we get to subcommittees, I'm going to vote that this, or propose that this is a great subcommittee that we could have for the next year. Although Jackie did make the point last time that we should really figure out what our goals are for the year and then form subcommittees around them. But if one of our goals is to make some proposals about, and have some concrete, maybe incentive, maybe not incentive, but boundaries and what we're trying to, the criteria, as you mentioned, I think that would be a great goal for us this year. My 2 cents. And anything else on this topic?
Are we going to have like a UTA, for instance, at the next meeting, which, members can come with their individual proposals, and then you, as a body, you can consolidate it to, and then provide the feedback to the council. Or what do you think? Are we still discussing at the next meeting, or next week we are coming with like concrete, proposals and feedback? Out of what we can.
Or are we creating a subcommittee to meet that goal, who can spend maybe more time? So I think those are the 3 options. Are we just discussing, are we coming back with more concrete ideas, or are we proposing this might be a goal that we might want a subcommittee to come back with concrete? So thoughts on those options?
Do we have, is there an expected time for us to get back to the council?
Bill or Tracy?
Is there any time frame?
Yeah, the time frame you expect on that.
That's a great question. I don't know. There isn't really a set time frame. So the other context to understand, I guess, that's important to say is that the Urban Renewal Board has decided to hire, and we have a consultant picked to do a 5-year strategic plan for all the different actions that the URA should take on in the next 5 years. And if it's beyond the current biennium, to budget for it in the future. So those sorts of things. And there's some analysis that goes into it. But at a certain point over the next 6 months, I would say, not immediately, but over the next 6 months, consultants are going to take up the issue of what new programs should be part of the 5-year strategic plan they're putting in. So I'm not saying you have 3 months, but what I am saying is that if you prioritize this, your timing will be good to hand over to the URA board to say, as you do your strategic plan and you take up the idea of new programs, please consider the homework we've done and how we came about it.
All right, I want to throw out a 4th idea, that we could also do a working session that's not so formal on this topic.
Sounds
Yeah, it sounds like I hear 2 yeses on that one. Okay, then we can be more brainstorming and narrowing down as a commission on.
good.
All right, would that be possible for us to do a work session? The question is, we've got a guest speaker already lined up for next April. So
That's correct. Your options could be, or I don't know how long whether you want it to be 30 minutes, 60 minutes, it could start at 5 or 5:30 and go till 6, and then your guest speaker, the presentations at the start of the meeting normally. You could have your regular meeting at 6.
And convene.
And then have it have a work session after the meeting has adjourned. Your
Members?
meetings don't usually go, I mean, they're kind of hit and miss. Sometimes they go an hour, sometimes they go a little over, but there's some options.
Members based on schedules, what you prefer, before or after?
I'd say after.
Schedule wise, David?
Young family.
Anita, does that work to have a work session after we convene our meeting next month in April?
Yeah, that works for me. Thank you.
Okay, let's do that.
Okay,
So then it may be the best of all worlds that we get to discuss and bring ideas, but it's not as formal as a.
okay, so I'll put it as a work session immediately following adjournment of the regular business meeting.
All right, excellent.
Decision.
Okay, we made a decision to how it work. Have our work session.
Good job. Good job.
All right, in that case, I'm going to move on to item C, the revisiting the list of possible guest speakers. So I wanted to add this so we don't forget and so that we can have some planning ahead for our agendas this year. But we immediately have an opportunity that Ariel
Yes,
from
explore Tualatin Valley.
Explore Tualatin Valley is going to come next month to be a guest speaker for us. And she asked if we have some thoughts on what we would like them to present or questions we have. So I know that it was only this afternoon that she reached out.
I don't know, I mean, she said, send me. I don't know.
Yeah, so it was just this afternoon that Lori forwarded an email from, her name is Ariel. She's going to come and be a guest speaker next month in April and talk about what Explore Tualatin Valley does and an opportunity for us to ask questions. And I'll admit, I just barely started looking at their website and didn't have a lot of time to prepare. So I've got a couple of thoughts, but maybe others are in the same situation as well, that we didn't have a lot of time to think about questions. So, Bill, would you mind giving us context again for her area of expertise and what Explore Tualatin Valley is?
Okay, so let me, yes, I'll be happy to. Let me clarify a little bit. So we could clarify with Ariel, but when I originally talked to her about coming and speaking, it was particularly about North Plains opportunity as a growing bike hub for regional bike riding and then coordinating to be part of broader bike network and the economic benefit of that. But the speaker, my understanding, was supposed to be Dave Perula, who's the executive director of the organization. I think she's preparing the presentation. Because in the email, she refers to our organization's presentation, and I think Dave is going to be here. I could be wrong, but we can clarify that. And then Dave is extremely active in all kinds of Washington County-wide tourism issues. Whether it's the beer trail, whether it's hotel motel development, whether it's promoting events, including the Garlic Festival or any others, like anything that visitation is involved, representing the state. He goes to nationwide conferences. He came to us from Chicago for a major tourism bureau there. So I mean, he's a long career in this. But he focuses in this with this entity on Washington County wide and everything within it. So I would say the original idea was something about bicycle hub. But if you all have other ideas, then I think we can say, hey, could you also touch on that or be prepared to answer questions?
Okay, I know we want bike hub. I know we're going to figure it out. Yeah. So anyone in the audience interested in bike hubs, that's April. Okay, and I have one more that we can send back to you. Just in general, I just clicked around the website a little bit. And for example, I noticed there's a link to coffee and tea or beer or things like that.
Mhm.
And some of them were empty and there wasn't any material on them. So my question would be, how do we submit our businesses to be part of the website?
Part of their website? Oh, I think, we can send the question ahead of time, or you can ask them point blank when he's here.
Or partner with them, our small
Yeah.
businesses. But
I don't know, but I'm sure there's a way because they're all about promoting it. I think, yeah, let's find out. I mean,
Okay.
yeah. We have Turtleson for Pete's sake.
I know,
So-
I know, we've got businesses that could
That's
do
right.
that. Yeah. Can we, if we have any thoughts in the next few weeks, or well, maybe should we put a deadline, maybe the next, by the end of the week, can we email those to the, not all, but to Lori? Bill, and just respond to that email?
Yeah,
Okay.
and you can email them up until. Or like. The week before the next meeting.
Okay.
Or, you know, normally I get the agenda out the Thursday before the meeting, but if you can email me like by Monday of that week ahead of the meeting, so that I have time to get it to her. In case she wants to put in a presentation to get back to me to put it, so whatever, that's like the end. of
Okay, so I
March.
think the homework is to maybe look at the link to their website, click around a little bit. If you have any questions, email those to Lori a week before our next meeting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, moving on, that in general, guest speakers, like I said, I know, I don't believe we have anything on the agenda past April. That, so,
Remember.
not that I know of. Anything that you know, Bill?
No.
Okay, so I wanted to come back to, because we had done some brainstorming. And there are two specifically we talked about that I would really like to get guest speakers for, and I'd like the rest of the committee to comment. One is someone who's from an actual URA or EDC committee from another town.
Mhm.
Maybe both, maybe two different people, and then also it's someone from Oregon Main Street Association. And if you need one of us to do some work on that. No?
No, so the Oregon Main Street Association person, I can work with Rowan on in arranging that. That's not a problem. As far as another city's URA, so. Well, no, I know different people in different cities. I think what would be the focus? Because there's. URAs kind of do similar things in different places, but the focus of them can be different, so. Knowing what your interest is helps.
Wait, for me, I would, especially right now, grant programs for smaller cities.
Okay,
And any advice on what has worked, what hasn't worked,
okay,
thoughts on what they've done,
okay.
others?
Not a thought. I mean, I know we've talked before about bringing back a farmer's market for North Plains. Is that still viable? Is that realistic? I mean, because I was thinking, oh, maybe someone from a small town that has a farmer's market and sort of their approach to revitalizing and getting that going. Is that something in our future?
Yeah, I mean, the history of that is that up until spring of 2024, we had different farms signed up to be in a farmer's. And then quite frankly, the UGB vote went on the ballot and that scared away some farmers. We almost had a farmer's market, actually. I mean, we were very, very close and then it spooked them. So, I think, so Rowan's been working on that. Just kind of as able to kind of get that idea going. I was supposed to get a proposal from somebody for once the URA demolished the old red house and yellow house across from the library. I had somebody who operates food truck pods
Okay.
that was working on a proposal for him managing, he has different event management experience as well, but he was looking at maybe a small combination of food trucks and then kind of a farmer's market type thing on the combination of those two lots, which would be more than enough space. But he kind of got busy with some other things, so I haven't gotten anything. So yes, that's still a possibility. It just hasn't been the burning priority, so to speak.
And good question, there is no reason why, you are talking about like a mobile, like, interested like in the fixed infrastructure. if somebody is interested in, like setting up like a restaurant. Like a feast facility, in the same place where the mobile. Trucks.
I mean, if somebody wanted to, if somebody wanted to propose or plan to build something, I mean, we wouldn't get in their way.
Your
But-
situation.
Yeah, we prefer it. And the reason is because that would be taxable assessed value. If somebody builds something, it pays property taxes.
Yeah, I'm asking because I see that we have a lot of mobile facilities already, right? Like at
Yeah.
the junction here.
Yeah, I mean, it's,
There's the man right there.
yeah, there he is. There he is.
So there's two there now or three?
Yeah.
There's two right now,
Yeah.
but I've actually been in touch with the state and the health department in regards to a food, selling fresh fruit and vegetables in our parking lot for this summer, because I thought it'd be a natural. So we've got the spot. And I've been trying to find out if I have to get concrete poured in that back area to make it so it's clean and stuff. I don't have many answers yet, but I've been thinking that our spot right there would be a natural seasonal place to have it. So you have a spot available.
Yep. Yeah, no, I mean, Ken's all over it, of course, which is very good. It's good to have somebody like him in our town, looking and exploring those opportunities. I think from the URA's perspective, a temporary use, getting people accustomed to that place being a place to go do things is a good temporary use. But we would prefer to see new permanent things built. Yeah.
Does anybody know,
Go ahead.
farmers markets, like, does Hillsborough, the city put that on? The city of Hillsborough do the farmers market?
I think we have an expert on that in the audience as well.
I mean, cause like Forest Grove does, they have a Wednesday market from, I don't know, April to October or whatever. I have no idea whether it's the chamber, the city, and outside, I think it's Adelante.
It's a downtown partnership, isn't it?
Forest Groves is, yes.
And then Hillsborough has this two separate entities. Saturday Market is under its own entity. Hillsborough Saturday Farmers Market, and the Tuesday Market, it's under its own entity. Right now, they're being managed by the same person, and they just live under Hillsborough Downtown Partnership, but they're their own nonprofit entities.
So for the record, the answer to that is separate nonprofit entities run the farmers market.
Yes.
So we can get,
Yes.
thank you.
All right, so I heard guest speakers. Maybe URA, Oregon Main Street, and maybe Farmers Market. Any other suggestions to tee up? Okay. That's a good list to start with. maybe?
Yeah, that's a good
Okay.
list to start with.
All right. Oh, Anise, yes.
So just one thing, if it is feasible, like when there any new business opens in North Plains, so how do the residents know about it? Beside the business itself, do the promotion? So like, is it possible, like in the monthly newsletter or the one sent with the bill every time to all the residents? So that has the news about the city. So is it possible to put what kind of business are opening in the city so that when the residents have that newsletter in their hand every month with their bill, they can see that this kind of new business are opened in North Plains, so they know about it, like what are there in the North Plains?
Great question. So right now we don't do that. And the reason is because as a city government anyway, we have to be careful about promoting some and not promoting others, right?
Yeah.
But I think so The infrastructure in the town right now is for promoting new businesses is primarily the Chamber of Commerce. And they have their method of doing that. Local businesses have also chosen to be members of the Washington County Chamber of Commerce for other types of new opening promotion. And I'm not promoting one or the other or encouraging one or the other. I'm just saying that's how it's done. And then, but I think that there's room to kind of have a feature that just says, you know, I think there could be a way, frankly, in the newsletter to just say, any new businesses in the community, and it's more about something's new rather than giving, rather than approaching it as promotion of the business.
Yeah, exactly.
So that I think that can be done. We haven't been doing that. What I will say is we've kind of had a pause, but we're going to kick it back up again. But internally, the city, we are looking at moving the newsletter to be a slightly nicer printed thing and sent out separately from the water bill. Far too many people, when they get their water bill with their newsletter, toss it because they're on auto pay. We love auto pay. Don't change that at all, okay? Because that's a wonderful thing. It's easy, fast, no hassle. It's wonderful. But because we have so many more people that's been successful, we have so many more people doing auto pay, they don't read the newsletter because they're not opening to look up their bill to pay it, So that's the cost of auto pay. And so what we're looking at doing is doing a slightly nicer newsletter mailed out separately. And that can pay, who's new to town? What's new to town could be a feature. And it could have the businesses, and it's done in a way that does announce their arrival, but also doesn't get existing businesses hackles up, that they didn't get promotion either, sort of thing.
Thank you, Bill.
And another way, the chamber can buy a spot in the newsletter, right? And then they can advertise the businesses, right, in their spot, right?
Yeah.
They can get a slot, right, in the news.
Well, we used to do advertisements in the newsletter, but then it ended up being a weird local business. It ended up being like at-home businesses that weren't even in the city. It was just a weird situation. So we cut that, and then dealing with the businesses and getting them to pay, and can we just get a free month of ads? And
honestly, over the last 3 years, the city's just had enough of its own news to fill up the newsletter. And, prior to that, we had space because we weren't dealing with a lot of big issues in town. And so we would get full page ads from some of the businesses in town, or half page ads. And we didn't charge them that much. So it wasn't like we were making a bunch of money on it. But as time went on over the last 3 years, the city had its own news that needed to get out to people. And that took priority over advertising for a small fee. So.
All right, in the interest of time, I'm going to move on to our last unfinished business, and really don't want to spend too much time here. Item D, subcommittee discussion, as I mentioned already. So last time we met, and Jackie said, instead of deciding what subcommittees we want, what are our goals? So I wanted to come back to this. And I don't have a specific idea, but any thoughts on if that needs to be a topic of a meeting, is determining our goals first before we determine subcommittees?
I'm sure. Yeah, keep it as separate.
And yes, and Jackie probably has a big ad as well.
So would you like to put the goals determination as an agenda item?
I think that's a great idea. Others? Do we have time next month, even with our guest speaker, to add that to April, or do we need to wait till May?
I think you could put. I would put it on the agenda.
Okay,
I don't think Dave's going to take an hour.
okay.
Unless you just load him up with questions. I don't think that'll do that.
All right, let's plan on that, and then we can decide, given our goals that we want to focus on, do we want to have subcommittees around those? Okay. All right, moving on to our new business. We have an EDC vacancy. And luckily, since the agenda came out last week, we actually have an applicant that I think is here today to, to talk to us. So,
But I think,
Oh,
you
yeah.
just push the mic button on top. It should.
and Lori did send out your application to us, so we all have a little bit of context. All right, I think typically, could you introduce yourself? And maybe say why you are interested in this position, and then I'll give the opportunity to the commission members to ask any questions.
Yes, well, thank you so much for all of your time, for allowing me the time to apply and be here to introduce myself. My name is Joanna Farah. I am a resident here of North Plains. I've been here going on to 3 years, since 2023. I've been on the Parks Board since 23, I believe, or 24. And my interest of coming on to the Economic Development Committee is, it's what I do. Living here, seeing the growth of the city, seeing where the balance and the support with businesses, that's something that I truly value, and my line of work that I've been doing in the past 5 years has been in supporting small businesses. I'm currently right now the director of Latino Business Development for Washington County Chamber of Commerce. I've been in this role previously back in 2022. I worked for the city of Hillsborough, and I've contracted with the county and different entities, nonprofits around the county, working primarily with small business and wraparound services. So I'm very in tune with other organizations and communities, and my whole thought process that I'm very passionate about is I always feel there's ways to go about things, and there's resources out there. Just the people that are needing it, or the organizations that are thinking about it, or it's not getting to them. So I always like to consider myself as a convener of, I love connecting people to organizations or people to people. So that's one passion that I bring into, and why I want to be part of the economic development is I live here, so it's important for me to see we're at the crossroads of the city of growth and how that looks like, and also at the crossroads of supporting current businesses that are here. I feel that we may be a small, I like to say small, but little mighty city, and that current businesses do need support, and they need support from residents, and I'd love to bring not only support from residents, but also from outside. We live in an area that we have a freeway exit right here. We have a great entry into North Plains that has a lot of potential for a lot of things for current businesses and for future growth. And I want to be part of that. I want to be part of what that's going to look like, and what those decisions would be for the future, for the current and for the future.
Thank you. Commission members, any questions?
Yeah, my name is David Amano. I have your application before me, and I can see that your background very beneficial to the EDC. I want to find out the Latino businesses we have here in North Plains. Do you do some work with them, or your work is mainly concentrated in Hillsborough?
My work right now, with my current role, is concentrated in Hillsborough and throughout Washington unincorporated is where I primarily work through. I currently, as Bill mentioned, some of the businesses that have joined the chamber, I've been currently working with business development, currently with La Loteria. So we've been helping them structure events, structure ways of retaining and bringing new customers into the business, and also helping them see ways of how they can also use their facility. They also do catering, and they've done already 2 after-hour events at their location. And So just working in how, if the customer base has been low, how else can they use their business and how else can they promote their business? That's something that I do in my current role with businesses, and it's one business in North Plains that I've been working with.
Thank you.
Do you have any areas of business that you would see especially advantageous to come to North Plains?
Businesses. I think
Or
we-
types of businesses you'd like to see in North?
Types of businesses that I'd love to see here is, I'd love to see a mixed use of space where it has some type of, like not a big grocery store chain, but something that fits that mold, or where you can go and get, and then has an area of other food locations in there, or other businesses, commercial, or it doesn't have to be food, but other types of commercial businesses that can come in there, that can be a mixed use.
Anyone else, Lenny? Any
No,
questions?
thank you.
I just have one question. Given all your experience, and especially some of your recent experience in locally with La Nutria, one of the things I think we struggle with is connecting between the businesses' need for existing businesses and resources to help them. Do you have any thoughts on how the EDC could help with that connection?
One way that I work right now as an example is, with the Washington County Chamber, one thing I've learned through being with her, we specifically don't carry the resources. We don't have the funding nor the resources to carry. But the beautiful thing that I've learned with working with the chamber and being involved with chambers in general is the networking aspect and that collaboration of getting to know other entities. Nonprofits are great to work with, and connecting. Like one thing right now mentioned as an example with the farmers market, it'd be great for North Plains to have their own farmers market. But in the meantime, why can't we partner with Adelante Mujeres and say, hey, can we have what you already have and what you already do? Have it a day here where theirs is on Wednesday, ours can be on Thursday, Hillsborough has their Tuesday market in the summer. Adelante Mujeres does a really great job in Cornelius Forest Grove on Wednesdays. And they also do Fridays, I believe. So we partner with them to do something here on Thursdays and kick off and start getting the nuance of knowing that North Plains has that. And then eventually where we can grow into where it can become our own, or work with the Hillsborough Farmers Market as well. They're great. Dustin over there has been doing that for me. He does that too, where he collaborates with the city because he has that pack and play of already the structure of vendors that he's very well in tune with. Where you need him, he just goes with the theme and knows how to get everybody there. So I think partnerships and using in a positive way the resource, not duplicating efforts. A lot of organizations in Washington County are doing amazing, and they're amazing at what they do. So why not partner with them to help us get, know what that works like for us and see how that can be attainable for North Plains, to then North Plains carrying it out down the line in the future.
I'm gonna ask a question. Is Simple Corporado involved in farmers markets at all?
No, they do a lot of events themselves.
Okay.
They have a big food pantry, food, but not that they're involved with the farmers market on that.
All right, any other questions? So we just nominate someone or suggest someone to the city council.
Yes.
As someone we would like to have on
Recommend.
our commission, and then, and so the next step is there anyone who would like to make a motion?
I just need consensus.
Oh, consensus. Okay,
Yeah.
we just need consensus.
Since there's just.
All right, one applicant. And now do we have consensus that we would like to refer Johanna to as an applicant, as someone to fill the EDC vacancy?
Just an eye from each one of you, or I'd have it for both,
Okay,
please.
David?
Yeah.
Yes. Mike?
Yes.
Anise?
Yes.
All right, excellent. And yes, from me too. I would be delighted to.
So this will come on the next council agenda on the 16th of March. As always, we encourage you to attend so that they have a chance to ask you questions. And they will make a decision at that time. And will we have a resolution available or that at that meeting or not
Resolution?
to place around it?
Yeah, why not? Yeah. Good.
So if they agree to it, they will adopt the resolution appointing you. It's for a term through, I can't remember, the end of 2027, I think. And then you can reapply for the next term. So March 16th, you will be on the agenda.
Right.
Thank you everybody for your time.
Oh, thank you. Do you have any questions for us? I didn't even have to do that.
I do not. I'm excited to be part. I do have a lot of questions as you were going through the agenda, like, oh, what about this, or I'd love to be part of that, but I miss out to them.
Hopefully we think we're very fun. But always great to have new members and new ideas and people who are excited to get things done. So
Yes.
really glad to go play.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Okay, I think. All right, so that was new business. Our next agenda item is 8, UGB PAC meeting updates, and Eric reported there has not been a PAC meeting since we last meeting set, so no updates on that. And moving on to 9, staff updates. Anything to share with us, staff?
I guess, as you've probably seen, the Glencoe Opportunity Area property is being cleaned up. And that's, we're just kind of calling that phase 1, I guess. We're working on securing partnership funding to help us with the cost of demolition of the buildings next. We could pay for it completely if we wanted, but it's always better. That takes money away from other bigger things on the property. So we're working on partnerships to help us make that easier. At the end of the day, the total cost for everything, that'll be next. That'll probably be next few months. The big thing though is the EPA Brownfield grant. That is about that is about ready for signatures on the dotted line. It's federal process. Takes a little while, and government shutdowns do not help that. That freezes it. But yeah, that'll happen, and then we'll get to go out for bid and find somebody to actually grade it, remove the soil on the whole thing. We've had 2 conversations with the grocery store operator. They're still very interested. They just wanted an update on the time frame, and they understand there's federal money being used to clean up the property, to remove soil from the property. So they're patient. They're okay with the process. So, we still have a grocery operator interested. And other businesses seem to be, but I think we're gonna have to go through a process to kind of re-secure what the rest of the property will do. I think the grocery store is the easiest part of everything. And then the only other thing I would say is that, did we get did Suzanne Bonamici visit? When did she visit? Was that before the last meeting or not? Did I talk about Representative Bonamici?
No, that was after the last meeting, I think.
Oh.
Because I did in the.
Yeah, I can remember. I'm sorry, Phil.
Okay.
Our congressional representative, Suzanne Bonamici, came to town and she presented us with a big symbolic check for $1 million from the USDA Rural Capital Fund. And we've gotten $1 million from them for the Civic Center project. And that one's been on pause a while, but City Council since 2001 has been working on moving forward towards having a new, not full big city hall, but new a new civic center that has council chambers and a few other different things that were missing. And that would be downtown on Commercial Street. And there's some, we need to update the plan for it because we also now have the new Kendall Public Services building. And what's in that building that means we don't need as big of a civic center as we did before. So we have some plan updating and costing that we have to do, but that's new. That'll be another federally funded or assisted project in the urban renewal district as well. So that's about it, I would say.
Has there been any interest in developing that empty lot that's over there by the secondhand store?
Oh, grab.
That would be a question for Rowan. There was a land use plan approved to put in homes with attached accessory dwelling units for most of the property. But where that is now, I don't know. It was a smaller builder and, you know, smaller builders can have problems or delay or whatever. So I'm not sure what the status is of that. But that was, I think that's still a valid approved land use plan, but when, I don't.
I want the old subway, it's almost turned into sort of a eyesore, you know.
Yeah, there has been nothing on that building. There's a business I'm aware of who came in and spoke with me that's interested in doing something with that building, but they don't own it. They didn't know who owns it. It was just sort of, that would be a great location. But the property owner has done nothing that we're aware of, and we certainly haven't been approached about anything. The only thing new to report would be the space where Melly's was, a business is moving into that, a restaurant.
Can you share what restaurant or what type?
It will, can I say, I mean, we have a business license now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's going to be apparently, based on the name, it's going to be a kind of like a Chinese dumpling restaurant.
Yeah.
So that's what we don't know much beyond that. They do have a business license. I've seen them and they're working on it, but we haven't seen anything.
No date estimate or anything like that.
Yeah, we don't have anything like that yet.
It's good to hear that, Bruce, your 3 times we need to come.
Yeah, they just opened
Yes.
a new one somewhere else already.
Yeah, the Fresh Foods grocery stores, they recently just opened after like a 2-year period of working on it. They recently opened their newest location up in Seabrook, Washington, on the coast there. And it's kind of a little planned that place is like, if you haven't been there, it's like a little planned community development. I think there's like 400 or 500 homes now. And it's Cannon Beach-esque, but it's all been built in the last 20 years, 15, 20 years. And he has a grocery store in Cannon Beach, and it was kind of a natural fit for him to expand there. But he's been eyeing North Plains to be the next store.
Okay, I'm going to go to our ex officio. Thank you so much for joining us, Councilor Powell. And any messages to share with us from City Council? Anything you want to share?
Well, Councilor Capen, I just wanted to say thank you for having me tonight. I do have a couple of questions I was gonna ask, but first I'll just give you a quick synopsis from City Council. We just recently appointed a new city councilor to fill a vacancy, Anna Warrington. You might have also heard Chief Jones is completing an assignment within Washington County Sheriff's Office. So right now we have an interim police chief, Eamon O'Reilly. Been with the agency for about 20 years. You might be familiar with him and his former canine companion, Radar. They are quite famous on social media. We also received an update. The city is moving forward with our financial audits. We've had a couple of work sessions as well. I think there were some really good learnings coming out of our code enforcement work session as well. The questions I have for this board, I heard you discussing earlier just about, kind of that grassroots, where do we prioritize or how do we create some sort of grant program and what would that look like? And my question, and I apologize if this is work that your board has already done, but is there a survey, like or a flyer, that could be distributed to North Plain businesses that would have kind of the top 5 wish list for their business, you know, is it interior, exterior, seismic, solar panels, et cetera. Or even, you know, asking what their largest obstacle might be to grow their business. And maybe capture feedback that way to find a common denominator and help steer some sort of grant program. And just putting everyone on the spot, has that already been done?
We do have a survey that I think is getting relaunched this month. Oh, Eric is actually the one heading that one up. So it's been a long time in the works and it's supposed to be launched, like I said, this month. I don't think we have those specific questions on there, but I think it would be a great question to follow up on. Could we then do a follow-up with those who respond to ask those questions? It's a great idea. That's an easy way versus what labor to go and talk to them individually to try to do it through a survey.
Yeah, no worries. My other question, this might be more of a Bill question, but I was hoping, Bill, you could share maybe what kind of structure is in place for a risk assessment before potentially granting a business funds?
So the risk assessment really is in the terms and conditions of the contract that they agree to sign. So they have to, I mean, are there particular risks that come to mind? Because what we do is we go through and we require, they have to demonstrate, when they apply, they have to demonstrate what their plan is, that, kind of aspect of wherewithal to do it. That they have a property owner they're working, if they don't own the building, they have a property owner they're working with, the property owner has to agree to sign on to guarantee that, yeah, this is going to happen. They have to get a certain number of bids. They have to bring that information to us. They have to give us receipts after the fact. They have to take a picture of the space before and after. It's kind of embedded in the contract, kind of the terms and conditions and what they have, the hoops they have to go through. Was there anything else that kind of came to mind, or?
Great question. Councilor Payton, I think as we were navigating this discussion, it brought to mind, what kind of safeguards are in place for financial resiliency for a business? Does that business need to provide documents that they have, 6 months of liquid savings and I don't know if that's common in these types of scenarios, but I just think about the investment that the city would be making up front, and if the business is on the verge of one slow month away from collapsing, just what kind of risk that could be to the city and the investment.
So, Councilor Payton, that's a great question. And I guess my answer to that would be, I actually think that the risk that I think what's worth looking into, I think what's very worth looking into that we don't do with the application is more to do with the property. Because we're buying we're buying what we hope are long-term improvements in the space. And while we want the business who's moving in and applying for a grant to be successful, when the improvements we're paying for should live beyond that business if they're unfortunate enough not to succeed. We want them to, but they don't actually get the money. They get reimbursement, but really it's the building owner who is probably fronting the costs. So if the business doesn't pocket the money, it's really reimbursing for space value put into the building. And so I wanted to take a look at the application. I think there's something in there about the property owner. If you're the property owner, you consent to the conditions of this, and there's some loosey-goosey language at least about, that the improvements are guaranteed or what have you. But if there's a risk in line with how you're thinking, I think there needs to be a provision that those improvements stay for a certain amount of time. And so it's not so much about the business moving in and how if they succeed or not, it's if you get $50,000 invested in your building, we expect it to be there a while. So let me check on that.
Okay, thank you. And then just my last question or really just comment would be, as you were brainstorming, guest speakers, I was also curious if someone from Business Oregon might be on the roster as well, to consider for a guest speaker. That's all I have.
Thank you, and that's a great idea.
Chairman, I think I also had, the council, member, spoke about a one page, outlining the business the opportunities we have, for small businesses. I know we have done some work on that, right? But I'm not sure what the final product or the status is. We discuss that one page item.
Yeah, do we need to add that to revisit next meeting? The one
Probably.
pager? Okay, let's do that. Let's add
One
that.
page, sorry.
Yeah, she asked about the one page, that contained opportunities we have for small businesses. But I think we did some previous one. Right. But it was supposed to be, I'm not too sure, but if we can revisit next week.
Can you email me about it, Lisa?
Okay.
Remind me, I mean,
I know, that sounds familiar, and I'm trying to remember which meeting we were, I think someone had asked us for that. We're trying to,
I can look back.
yeah, me too, sorry.
I can also look back.
Okay.
Probably send it by.
Okay, that sounds good. All right, anything else, commission? Okay, if not, we will close our meeting at 7:21 PM, something like that. Okay. We'll adjourn for this week of our March, and in the interest that Eric would say, if you need some food or dessert, go patronize one of our local businesses.
Thank you, Anise.